Welcome back to another episode of Blue Room.
We need a theme song. Like, we need like a...
I've been changing...
intro track.
I've been just kind of switching up the music each time, just making it different. But I'm not opposed to like an actual theme. But I've just been like using copyright-free stuff so we don't get taken off the air.
I feel that, you know? You know how everyone's like Marvel movies, like no one could hum the theme song of any superhero because
Really?
they're all kind of the same or whatever.
Wow.
Like, I don't want to make that mistake, you know?
Yeah. No, I feel you. How's your week been?
It's been
Weeks,
a few ups and downs. Yeah, it's been quite a tumultuous week. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's really going through it. You know, he actually was a pretty big movie star. You know, I don't know if you met him, but you know, I was helping him out, and the direction of his career is not really going in the best place. But I'm just trying to let him know. You know, he still got it. You know, he may not be getting the same roles he used to be getting, but he's still a phenomenal actor. You know, he's still got space in the business. Yeah, so I'm just, hanging out with him. I think he's going off to Italy sometime soon. I don't know if he's taking me with, to be determined, but it was a lot of ups and downs last week. What about you?
I actually helped a friend and his fiance. So a couple weeks ago, his fiance flew into the airport, so we and him went to pick him up. However, she was kidnapped by this street gang, and so we had to go chase the group. It was a whole event, really, and it turned out the guys that
Oh my God.
the guy behind the kidnapping, it was this really crazy wizard sorcerer guy, and he's been apparently living here for a while and everything. And so we pretty much had to team up, and we brought in another friend. She's a lawyer, and yeah, we tracked this guy down, and it was just crazy. It was just crazy. I had no idea what I was walking into. I thought it was just like I, help my friend pick up his fiance. But who knew that magicians and supernatural powers are a thing, But yeah, we defeated him, by the way.
You've had quite the week, man.
They're separated, so we did get her back. Yeah,
Well, that's good to hear.
That's good.
I'm glad it was an opening close case.
Yeah, so that's us. And obviously, if you've been paying attention to the news, the world has gone completely turned over. Really, I mean, we can't go further without addressing the whole elephant in the room that apparently World War III has started playing that game. Right,
They're looking to
it's
complete
just
the trilogy.
insane, man. Honestly, and then what happened recently with I think today with Putin readying or telling his nuclear arms to stand by or ready to activate.
Yeah, I'm eager to see where the doomsday clock is now, because something like this, I don't know if we're as close to the Cuban Missile Crisis as we were during the Cuban Missile Crisis, but it'd be interesting to see how that compares to today, that same fear of,
and it's
this is
weird
gonna
looking
happen,
back, I guess now, because I was in high school back in 2014, or I was finishing up high school, when they invaded Crimea and annexed that. And I remember being like, okay, man, This is insane. Then a lot of people were saying this could potentially lead to this. And now we're here. Yeah.
What's interesting is if they had gone further in 2014 and taken Crimea, and just everything was a normal, quote unquote normal today, I don't think there would be that big of an issue. But it's interesting that they waited so long to do this giant grand scheme and then failed tremendously at it at every step of the way. It just goes to show, having one guy do all your foreign policy and all your domestic policy and have the answer for everything
just
is
some
not the
one
best form of
crazy
government.
dictator? Yeah, no. It's interesting you bring it up. I think I was watching Sunday Morning today, and they mentioned about how the fact that he's slowly been, getting a bit more aggressive. Well, more so Putin. Yeah,
Isolated.
like during we've seen
and
over
aggressive too.
The last 2 years, specifically with COVID. It's been he's been ramping up military tactics, and they kind of hinted at the fact that even him and like domestically, it's just been ramping up a bit more, like in his aggressive policies against the West and everything. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's interesting that would lead to this. Obviously, the Russian economy. I mean, I'm not a huge, world affair person, but from the articles I read, it's not great, and I'm definitely sure that, I went like looking at in history. Whenever these things happen, it tends to be some type of economic reason that drives people to do this. Usually, like you're like, oh well, we got to look strong, and I feel like definitely they've been hit very hard. A lot of people have been saying, a lot of articles have mentioned they've been hit really hard with this, COVID, with this economic shutdown. I mean, everyone has, but yeah, I think this is just kind of, or he's banking on this as kind of like a last ditch effort to look strong, to give, for the domestic, population, but that's not really working as well.
I do think a big part of it is his personal glory, wanting to be the one who brings Ukraine back into the fold. But also, if you look at Russia's demography, and this probably has only been accelerated by COVID, they're actually running out of people. Their demography is terminal. Their population now, their manpower in their army is at its peak as of today. Right now, it'll only go down going forward. So in a lot of ways, you can see this in the way that their tactics have changed. They may have assumed that they would have the next 10 years to enact this master plan that they're doing all in like the course of a week. But, with COVID, with so many economic reasons that you brought up previously and other factors, they're pressed for time with a falling demography, really, really big borders that they can't really protect with their current geographic layout. And so taking places like Ukraine and the Baltics and parts of Poland, parts of Romania to anchor behind some of these, natural geographic barriers might make more sense to defend with a smaller demography. But their current borders, they can't really protect themselves. And what's interesting is they're doing this in the name of security, or at least he is. And in doing so, he's weaponized or caused the European continent to weaponize at a degree that's been unprecedented since like World War II. Like you have all these European countries like overnight spending or promising to spend drastic amounts of money on the military, which is something that they haven't been even considering for such a long period of time. So he's almost created his own demon.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it has, and this is only from the news that I'm getting, which obviously is kind of going to be biased because we're not that close to the source, but it doesn't seem like he has a lot of support in Russia either for this. Like even the soldiers, you've seen those videos of them capturing a lot of these, pretty much their kids that were conscripted into this army, and you find out that they were told by their higher ups like you're going on this military exercise, and then they find out they're in Ukraine for this military invasion. They didn't see this happening. So, and then you have politicians that are also kind of resigning in protest, or at least protesting Putin. You have the anti-war protest in Moscow. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses further. One good news today at least is that I think Ukraine just regained control of Kharkiv. I think that's how it's pronounced, but that's the country's second largest city. So hopefully, this is a good sign that it can't, like, he doesn't have enough. He doesn't. It's running on steam pretty much, or at least, and it will at some point, at least further, hopefully soon. Honestly, that he withdraws. But yeah, this is insane. To all the people out there that either have relatives in Ukraine or are in Ukraine right now. It's my heart goes out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are, at the end of the day, this is a country defending itself from imperialism. In the modern day, they're being invaded by a bigger country with a bigger economy, a bigger army. It's every time this happens in history, like it's my heart goes out to every group of people that are facing some repercussions from an invasion and an occupation, a forced occupation. And at a later date, it would be very, very interesting to talk about the dynamics between the West enthusiasm for arming and training and cheering on one group of anti-occupiers and kind of chastising and gaslighting another group of people doing the very same thing. That has been plain as day. And the same with refugees. We have refugees who are coming from Afghanistan, refugees coming from Ukraine. How both of them are treated and how the international community responds has been very,
definitely.
very eye-opening.
I think that's something that throughout, that's continued till now, obviously, and will probably continue for a while, is this type of hypocrisy that we see in how governments, how media, how people really react to. I mean, on paper, it's pretty much the same thing happening, but you'll have a different position depending on what media you consume, where you're from, what your government's like and such like and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, an interesting topic. And so I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff with that, I think, to explore, and even just in general with a lot of documentaries in the past, dealing with Ukraine and Russia that I haven't watched yet. I'm going to start watching probably this week. Just to get a bit more idea of what the situation is, because obviously there's a ton of history there.
This is something I hope people learn about me and you. It's like we're not just nerds about fictional media,
right?
But it just kind of spreads in every direction, whether it's science or technology or history or geography, geology, wherever. Yeah. It just kind of spreads out. Urban planning, it just everywhere.
Right.
Politics.
I mean, obviously, I think that's a cool,
all-consuming
way to address some of these, some of those interests even in this podcast, because there's a ton of movies about all of those topics, really. So it'd be cool to kind of get into, obviously talk about ones we like that are either realistic or unrealistic, but then also bring our interest into this, too, and maybe have people that are a bit more knowledgeable about it, too, be guests or something. But we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, switching it over, I guess, there's been a ton of other news coming out with movies and music, obviously. So what? Recent listens. What have you been recently listening to?
Man, I've been listening to, and don't giggle, I've been listening to a ton of Action Bronson recently.
No worries.
And his last album was Only for Dolphins. 2020, he went on tour in 2021. It's the NBA Leather Tour, but the N is an Enya, so it's Enya
Nice.
BA Leather Tour. I've been listening to this album nonstop. The album before that, Lamb Over Ice, nonstop. And what really stands out to me is how I feel like I've switched my preference for rap. I'd say not aspects or focus. Kendrick is known for his lyricism. He's known for the quality of his lyrics. You can say the same thing about J. Cole. Rappers like Playboi Carti are known less for their lyrics and more for their just sound or energy, you could argue. But with Action, I feel like he's really, really at the top of his game when it comes to just imagery in the music, So the lyrics, if you read them on a piece of paper, they may not invoke the same meaning as hearing it over the beat, the specific beat with a very, very well-chosen sample. It just puts an image in your head, every lyric, every line. That is just, it's incredible. That's a part of the music that I've really, really fallen in love with as of recently. So yeah, he's definitely in the top of my queue. Z Loopers, I've been listening to him. Who else has been listening to? Conway just came out with an album. I haven't listened to it yet, but I heard a couple songs. That's pretty good. Oh. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty great. I gave that new Earth Gang came out with the new album Ghetto Gods.
That's right.
I felt it was all right. It wasn't as strong as some of their previous.
No.
There's a couple good songs on that. Water Boys, Lie to Me, Black Pearls, those are great. Yeah, but overall, I thought it wasn't like it was a bad album. It was just a bit, I still enjoyed it. I think it was weird though. There was one song that was kind of, it was called Power, and it was kind of talking about real issues about how like a lot of musicians, black musicians, will be signed on to a lot of labels which are usually
Mm-hmm.
white owned, and so there's not a lot of ownership. There's a lot still like this power imbalance there, and so like how pretty much you could get cut for whatever reasons. But the two artists that I think they use are Nick Cannon and CeeLo Green. I think they're both featured on that song. And I'm like, yeah, but these guys weren't cut for just like any other reason. They either said some shit that got them kind of blacklisted,
Interesting. Interesting.
So I was just so it's just kind of like, huh, I was just like, that's kind of odd. But yeah, other than that, I think it was a pretty.
I felt the exact same way that you're describing when I listened to on Donda, the song Jail. Actually, no, it's not Jail. What is it called? It's like Make Me New Again. Like he's singing about just like Last Night Don't Count. Like just a song about like redemption and like Make Me New Again. And it's a song with like Chris Brown, I think. And I think the remix has like the baby on it. It's just like like this is the vibe, like, because the thing is like I don't know, like it just seems really really weird. I understand, like, everyone can come back, like there's always room for forgiveness. Like I understand these tenets that he's trying to get across in his music and the vibe of the album, but like Chris Brown is not a nice person. Like this is a person who like continuously makes the same or worse mistake again and again and again and again as a grown man, and serves no jail time,
right.
So it's like I don't know if this is a guy I want to like.
It's like, is this really who you want to use as an example? Like, here's like the lyric, or one of the lines I'm talking about. It's like, fuck CEOs taking your shows and firing you at night. Like Nick, that's a cannon blast. I'm like,
hold up.
But he got fired. I'm like, hold up. He got fired pretty much from his show, and either way, he still hasn't been fully canceled. But he said like a ton of anti-Semitic bullshit that was just untrue. Man. Pretty much. And it's just like, yeah, you're gonna get let go for that, buddy. Like you can't go around saying things like I have to find like the actual words, but it was pretty jarring. Pretty bad,
okay.
Pretty much, and I'm like, yeah. And then I think like in the past, like CeeLo Green got, like that was 7 years ago, where he pretty much got got a lot of a bit of hot water because I don't know if you remember that he had that sexual assault allegation.
No way.
Him. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know what happened with that, but he said he said some weird tweets that was just like it's not rape unless if she's unconscious.
What?
Nah, that's I'm like, nah, that's pretty bad, dude. You can't. He did like apologize still, but I'm like, come on, man.
Yikes. I mean, yeah.
I don't know what. So it's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know if those are like the type of people you want to use as examples that about how the industry's stacked against black people.
They weren't treated fairly,
like,
man.
There's got to be better examples than those two, right? Yeah,
Oh man.
But other than that, there were some other cool albums that came out that I've been listening to. Bakar, Nobody's Home.
He be spitting, man. Bakar be spitting.
Yeah,
I gotta listen to that.
It was a pretty good mix of styles. Like it's a lot of indie rock, obviously indie rock, but it has some of its some electronic sounds to it. And it's pretty great. He's talks a lot about his whole identity as being an immigrant or the son of an immigrant. His mom's from Tanzania, and so he grew up with her for most of his life. His dad's actually Yemeni, but he hasn't really interacted with him in like a long time, and he mentions that from one of the songs, Euthanasia. But yeah, it's a really great album, man. I would definitely recommend that.
I would definitely listen to the Bakar album. 100%.
Yeah. Boy Pablo and Cuco, they had a new single come out a couple weeks ago. It's all in Spanish because they're both like, from Latin America, or at least Cuco's from, he's Mexican American. Boy Pablo's actually Chilean Norwegian. Like his parents are from Chile and then immigrated to Norway, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, it's a great like harmonization is amazing. Piano, strings. It has like it starts off pretty slow and then crescendos. So that was cool. And obviously Texas Moon. I think. Was
That's
the
it.
last
Yeah,
one.
Texas Moon. That's a woo. Oh man.
If anybody's listened to Texas Sun, which is the collaboration with Leon Bridges and Khruangbin, it's that great mix of psychedelic rock and soul, and it's just
Man.
awesome. So this was good.
I'll be playing that at work. I want to drive into the
Doris,
sunset, man.
Yeah, and then so like Doris, I think was the first song off of it. It's still like a small EP. It's like 4 songs each. All really great. Honestly, I think for like my favorite between all of them, like including Texas Sun and this new one, it's got to be Conversion.
I was just gonna say that. That
when he starts singing when he brings in like At the Cross, I'm not a religious guy, but I even wanted to get down and start
right.
praying.
I want to repent, man. Just
come on,
oh
man.
my god.
I'm like, man, I'm sorry, God, dude. Like tears. That was a beautiful song.
Oh man.
And then there's like a ton of great stuff that I think I listened to. JPEG Mafia had a new album come out this past week.
What?
Offline.
JPEG?
Yeah, dude. I thought you were his biggest
Hold
fan.
up. No, there's no way.
I'm surprised, dude.
I'm gonna Google this.
Yeah.
What?
I found out literally I think on Friday at work, because that's what I do. I was like, oh, this is new. Okay.
There's no way. What's it called?
Offline.
What? It's on Spotify, like the whole way?
I think so. It should be. I mean, it's on YouTube Music. I know there was like a couple of there was like a whole thing with using the samples. So maybe it should be on Spotify though.
5-track EP Offline. Oh my god. Damn, Peggy. Yeah. Okay. Man, I can't wait.
Give that a listen.
Can't wait to listen to this.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I've been listening to. So yeah, pretty much at work. It was just like I'll listen to all these albums that I think we talked about, like Strings of Saldomingos, great guitars, Metronome's Small World, cool. A. Ravine, Love Sucks. I almost bought a skateboard because of it. Didn't end up buying like a ski bag because I needed that a bit more. But yeah,
man. I think Florence and the Machine are coming out with an album too. They had some pretty good promo.
That's right,
yeah.
Man. Or I think a single. I don't know. I have to look at it. There's a website I go to get all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sesame Ashworth came out with an album too. That's good. God, what is it called? Oh no.
Honestly, I was telling somebody, I'm like, yeah, man, it's like a blessing and a curse. There's like so much music coming out, and every day pretty much.
And I can't catch all of it.
Big artists, small artists, yeah. But hey, definitely check these out, and we'll include I think an episode. I'll try to include an episode notes, like a document so you can go find some other albums that came out and artists and everything.
Oh my goodness. The album is called Squeeze. Yeah. It's called Squeeze.
I have to check that out. Thanks for bringing it up.
Absolutely. I couldn't let this go on without calling out Sesame's album, bro. Okay.
So, dude, did you see the new episode? Are you caught up with Raised by Wolves?
I am not. I've been watching.
Okay.
I'm probably 3 episodes into Raised by Wolves. God, what have I been watching? I've been watching a ton of movies. I've been watching Star Wars in Japanese with no subtitles, and I think controversial opinion. I think it's better than the English, especially the original trilogy.
Okay.
I think it's better than the English.
Okay, that's actually kind of okay. That's interesting because I think it's George Lucas mentions that Akira Kurosawa was some of his influence for Star Wars. The original trilogy, definitely
Big time.
So maybe that's one of the reasons.
Big time.
Just the imagery and everything like that. I have to do that.
I hope.
Because I know you studied Japanese.
So a couple phrases I picked up, but it's even still, it's I hope that before my life is over, I get to enjoy or be a part of creating a retelling or maybe an exact exact replica of the original trilogy, but just have Japanese actors and actresses and take some of that like that Akira Kurosawa like flair that he was like looking for, and just like dumping it all over the imagery, you know, because it's just like it's so good. And it also, what makes it such a good like franchise is it's a giant critique of just imperialism. So you can apply it to the, you know, the British Navy officers, or the stormtroopers that are literally mimicked after you know, German soldiers during World War II.
Nazis.
Or you can look at
German
fucking Darth Vader,
soldiers,
whose helmet is literally like a samurai helmet. You know what I mean? It's just like all of these things are like pointing to like the worst parts of human history and human imperialism. So I don't know how we got to that part, but yeah, I've been watching that.
You're talking about Star Wars.
And I'm really excited for, we'll get into it. I'll let you take us there, but I have a few movies I'm excited for that are coming up.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so I haven't watched a ton of movies. I've been just watching a lot of, pretty much just catching up with shows still that I'm watching. So Raised by Wolves, Star Trek Discovery, just released. They're like almost at the end of this franchise, of this season, and so they just had the 10th episode. It's interesting. I mean, I feel like this season I haven't really cared that much about what happens. I think I mentioned this before. Or no, I talked to Chris and Keith about this, and I'm like, yeah, dude, it just feels like it's like every season now is just pretty much like, okay, the galaxy could be destroyed some way. And I'm like, all right, man, you keep raising the stakes, it gets pointless.
Yeah.
Man. It's like, if I want that, I'll just watch like a movie, like a Marvel.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's kind of like how Marvel just raise the stakes, like, oh, the entire timeline's under trouble, and it's like, okay, the Avengers are gonna come in and save the goddamn day. What's new?
Yeah, or like Doctor Strange. You know? Yeah, but yeah, and that's an interesting. I think that this one guy talked about this in his. He did like a whole analysis. He compared the Mandalorian actually to Discovery. And pretty much how he started off talking about how blockbuster movies and specific have changed throughout the time, and then now every studio is trying to do the thing that Marvel did, right? But it doesn't really work. Like you find out that actually at some point, you know, audiences will tune out. You know, they'll just be like, well, they don't really engage with it, and it doesn't really translate to, you know, more money or anything. I guess it makes sense, you know, like if I'm going to see this other property, right? Why would I watch the same thing that Marvel does when I can just watch Marvel movies, right?
Yeah.
Which one of the cool things I do like that DC's starting to do is pretty much just kind of being like, it doesn't really matter. They have their own spin. Like each director's kind of doing their own thing with their movies. Like look at the Batman. You know, what timeline does that fit in? Doesn't matter. You know, it's going to be a pretty... Right? You know, it doesn't really matter. And I kind of like that because it gives a bit more control to, or it should, hypothetically, give more control to directors to put their unique spin on it without having to worry about, you know, continuity of everything or how this, or setting up the next movie.
Yeah. It makes all of the movies, like the more movies you tie into it, I feel like it's much, much harder to get me to care and then raise the stakes. You know, like if you have like if I know Superman is in the Batman universe, every time they threaten to blow up the city, I'm like, okay, Superman could theoretically just come in and save the day. And if he doesn't, it's like, okay, I know there's probably a movie that's going to come out. It's going to explain why he doesn't. And it's like that expectation removes all of the excitement. It removes all of the like mystery and wonder. You know what I mean? And I know we just finished talking about music, but we talked about this earlier this week where we agreed that like, you know, artists like Kendrick, like when they create music, it's like every time they put something out, like you have no idea what to expect. It's a new style, it's a new flow, it's a new subject, it's a new theme. Like all of it is just like very original, brand new, and it's also a complete mystery. And I feel like with a lot of movies, like nowadays, we just go into it knowing what to expect. And I wish that it didn't have to take until a studio started getting less than acceptable revenue for them to like change their ideas. I wish that money wasn't so determining.
Prevalent.
So prevalent, exactly. You know, like the Dune movies, like the idea that if the first Dune like didn't attract enough people, they wouldn't have made a second one. Like that's a horrible thought in my head. And I know, like, you know, obviously these things are still properties that generate revenue, generate jobs. Like there's a reason why there's money at the end of it. It's still, it doesn't make it suck any less.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole thing we're getting to, and this is probably a whole other topic that we could expand on in another episode, but pretty much just, I think we maybe talked about the first episode we did this year, but just like there's this, you don't really see any of the mid-budget movies.
Yes.
You know? Maybe not the movies that cost billions of dollars to make, but, cost maybe a couple $1 million to make. So it's still a lot of money, but it's not like a huge loss if it doesn't lose a lot, or can make it up through, through the theater, through video sales. And so that's like, that ties into it too. Nobody's really buying videos. It's all going to streaming.
Yeah.
So I think that's, so kind of in a way, it would be interesting to kind of look at how, if streaming's kind of, been that kind of place for mid-budget movies, because it looks like some studios are just like, yeah, we'll just put this on, Netflix or their own streaming channel, right? But we'll have to see. I mean, it would be definitely interesting to look at the numbers and see, how is it affecting it in a good way or not so much. Hard to tell. But yeah, really, the whole crux of it is that there's not those mid-range movies. Everyone's trying to get a bigger slice of the pie, really.
Yeah, and that's a shame, because like there are so many mid-range movies I can think of off the top of my head that like will stay in my mind forever. Like the plot, the characters, the story, like it's imprinted in my head. I take it with me.
Right. I think A24 is actually pretty good at being that kind of studio. They've found a lot of success of just making like those middle budget movies. They're not hugely expensive.
Yeah.
But they're always good.
I feel like their thumb is
Usually
on like the
pretty
pulse of our generation, or just like what is cool. They know what cool is.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it was funny. I was actually I was reading a bit of an article talking about how, yeah, like A24 pretty much found that there was this type of, directors and writers were kind of being, upset with the current state of movies in general, like, writing for these big studios that only wanted certain things,
Oh, yeah.
Big budget, big cast, big
Reasonably
stars.
so.
And exactly. And then A24 is kind of like, you don't have to do that. We'll we'll allow you to make the movies you want to make. It doesn't have to be this big budget. It doesn't have to have these stupid, you don't have to be dumbed down kind of. And yeah, it's no wonder that they found success with that. And it's no wonder that a lot of people kind of want to see those types of movies, because yeah, when everything else is, if everything else is McDonald's and you have one gourmet burger place, it's gonna get a good traffic.
Controversial opinion. I think, and actually, I don't know. I could say this and it can be an awful idea, so everybody keep that in mind. But I think for mid-range movies, like A24 type movies, I don't want to say A24 type movies, like just movies that are like really, really good and don't have a really strong studio behind them, I wouldn't mind paying a bit more to see them exclusively or specifically. Like I wouldn't accept really a price hike on a Marvel movie. Like if the price to see a Marvel movie ever went up like by more than 10%, I would just wait until it came on Disney Plus. I wouldn't go see it because it's the same goddamn movie. I'm sorry. But if it's like the Safdies come out with a movie like next year, I'd pay $25 for a ticket. I'd pay $50 to go with a date. You know what I mean? Like I'd pay big bucks to go see one of their movies for the first time on the big screen. And they kind of deserve that.
And
you know what I mean?
Got Bruce Wayne over here.
Yeah, but I understand like with you want this experience to be achieved and viewed by as many people as possible. And by raising the prices, you definitely exclude more and more people who would like to go see this but definitely can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is that with a lot of the ticket prices, it's mainly the rising of that, or most of the movie stuff, it usually comes from, and I might be wrong because it might have changed by now, but it's usually from like the theater chains, because they bake very little money from actually showing these movies for like tickets.
Right.
Most of it's from concessions and stuff, which sometimes honestly you don't really need it. Like honestly, it tastes bad anyway. It's like the only Like the only
You're not wrong.
theater I know that does really good popcorn is probably the Music Box.
Hey,
The next one I would probably rate for like a big chain would have been the Century 21 in Evanston owned by Cinemark, but they're gone. So it's just AMC's popcorn, which I found that if you don't add the butter or the quote unquote butter, it's a lot better. You don't have to if you don't put that grease on, just add a bit of salt. It makes it so.
you
much
heard it
better.
here, folks. We taste the popcorn, so you don't have to.
Speaking of though, that reminds me of when we'd go up to that theater in Evanston, and we'd stop at it wasn't Whole Foods, it was People's Market at
World
the time.
Market.
And we'd get that too, and we'd get the chips.
Oh
remember?
yeah. Sneak them
The
bad
kettle
boys
chips.
in, boy. He was eating like kings in there.
Dude. I think it was funny. We always got the same. Like I always got the sea salt and vinegar. You got like the green one. Like what was that? Sour
I
cream
feel
and
like I
onion
got
or
sea salt and
something?
vinegar. Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I definitely got it because that's like my favorite.
Oh, that's right. You
flavor.
put me on. You definitely put me on a sea salt and vinegar as a kid. I was like, bro, what? That's the grossest sounding flavor ever. And I would eat some of your chips, and I'd be like,
What the-
wow, this man is ahead of his time.
Yeah. I'm a visionary. I got a lot of big ideas bouncing around in here.
Salt and vinegar? Oh man, powerful.
You know. But yeah, so that's that. I definitely think we should do. It'd be cool to talk about that whole thing and maybe focus on Star Trek too. Maybe have Chris and Keith on because they're Star Trek. They're like huge into Star Trek, a lot more than me.
Oh, that would be so fun. That would be so fun to have them on.
Yeah. Yeah. But what else? I mean, other than that, I mean, I saw a couple plays. You know, I saw August Wilson's Gem of the Ocean, which is amazing. Any of August Wilson's plays, which talk about, you know, the whole black experience in America. It's great. If you ever get a chance to see them live, like an actual play, do that. I know they have some of them have been made into movies like Fences with Denzel Washington, which is good. I'm not knocking it, but the play is, I think, a lot better than just any of the movies, you know.
Plays have really like grown on me. Yeah, I really want to go to a play sometime soon. I said I watched the Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, I am jealous, man, because I didn't get a chance to see it when it was in theaters that time, that week
Me
or
either,
whatever.
man.
And then I don't have Apple. What is it? Apple
Yeah.
TV, whatever the hell that is. Yeah, I don't have that, so I have to wait till I can rent it digitally, I guess.
Hey, we'll rent out the Century 400 and we'll play it one day.
Dude, we could rent out the 400 theaters down the street.
That's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we should rent out one of those theaters one day.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that'd be great. Do like a movie night with like when we do like movie discussions about something, just rent that
So
out.
sick.
Talk about it. I mean, that'd be
That's the
great.
same theater
If you're
we
listening
saw
to this-
every Harry Potter movie opening night. That's the same theater. Century 400
was it.
forever.
It wasn't Century 400, it's just the new 400. But
Oh,
yeah,
true.
that theater is great. It's been there through a couple different ownerships, but yeah, go to Five Guys, have
Man,
dinner,
They held us
then
down.
walk over. Yeah, Five Guys is gone, but 400 is still.
Hey, we
there.
got halal guys now. That's pretty better.
Yeah.
I would take halal guys.
We switched out our
Okay.
guys. We switched out our guys. You know?
We got other guys now.
Yeah. Look at my guys.
I'm excited.
Yeah, but I mean, go for it.
I'm geeked for the Batman movie. I just need to get that out there.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of, so then going to straight on to movie releases coming out, at least for this week. We definitely have the Batman.
I can't wait.
Matt Reeves. Dude, that's gonna be great. It is gonna be amazing.
Bum,
I mean,
bum,
if it-
bum, bum,
if it-
bum. Like what?
That first teaser that came out was at 2020 or
Chills.
2021, where he's like beating up the thugs.
Chills.
I'm like, geez, dude, holy shit, dude, this is gonna be intense.
I need that unwell Bruce
it
Wayne.
doesn't-
I need the deranged Bruce Wayne.
like that young Bruce Wayne before he kind of mellowed out and realized how to
how to separate his characters.
cool
Yeah,
off a bit.
I need the grimy, the angsty Bruce Wayne that I can relate to. That's what you need to see in Robert Pattinson.
Dude,
in the 70s setting.
And I mean, Robert Pattinson. I mean, obviously, it's good that he's getting more work. I mean, I feel like a lot of people kind of looked at, knew him from Twilight and just like, this guy's he's not gonna be in anything good. But now he's got a pretty good career. He's got like a lot of good.
Hey, I was a hater.
Recently.
I was a hater big time. I was like, Robert Pattinson, Twilight boy. No, sorry. But then I saw Good Times. Good Times, yo, changed my life. Changed my life.
I think I saw him. The last movie I saw him in before everything was it was this like really weird independent movie from its French director. Hold on, let me look it up.
Is it Annette?
I had it down. I wrote it down. No, it's not that. It's this
Is it a sci-fi one?
Hold on. Give me a couple. It's like a sci-fi. Yeah, it's a sci-fi one.
They're on a space station.
He plays this prisoner. He's in like a ship. It's him, a couple other actors. Andre 3000's in it, and they're like these prisoners that have been put on this ship.
Oh my god, what is that? I know exactly what you're referring to.
And because I remember it's I saw it. I was studying in Evans at the library. I was just like, you know what? Let me go see a movie. Let's see this. High Life. Yes, that's what it is. That was a weird movie.
A science fiction horror.
I remember. It's not. I mean, maybe it has a bit of horror. I don't really find it horrific or horror-like, but that might have been at the time. But I definitely remember. Being like, "Oh, this is really weird." There's one particular scene that I wouldn't watch it with anybody else, like your parents or any kids in the room. But yeah, it's hard to describe because over this, but it was like a whoa, this is happening, and then the movie was over, and I was like, I think I like that, and I think it was funny. My dad saw it at the same time. He also really liked it, but he's into that whole movie stuff. He knew the director. I think he's seen some of her work before. It was Claire Denis. That's who it was.
I'm watching this. This sounds really, really interesting. I'm reading the synopsis right now.
Yeah. Speaking of, man, on another bit of off tangent a bit, these French independent movies are crazy. Honestly, I don't know what they're doing.
They don't pull any punches, bro. They want the whole life experience,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good. I'm not knocking it. It's just it's really like if you go in and you're like, yeah, this is from a French director or somebody, just know it might be a bit weird. I saw Titan last year, and yeah, that was I don't know. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. A car, an actual car.
No.
Like, geez, if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. It was good though. I loved it. I saw it at the 400 at the Music Box. I was just like, I would go see this after work. Worth it. And then speaking of other movies that are coming out this Friday, A24's After Yang. Start with Colin Farrell, Jodie Turner-Smith, Justin H. Min. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like a nice little sci-fi android movie.
Yeah, it looks really good. I'm excited to see After Yang as well. What's the other movie? I'm blanking on it. It's like there's a woman. There's a bunch of different multiple multiverses of her, and they're all communicating and trying to get through this, solve this problem that's destroying the multiverse. I'm blanking on it.
Doctor Strange?
No, it's I believe the actress is the same actress that plays Fennec from The Mandalorian.
Oh.
So she's in it. But I forgot I know the plot. I literally know the plot of the movie because I've seen the trailer so many times, but I can't remember the movie.
No, I know what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about, but I know that feeling.
Oh, okay, okay, that's real helpful. I'm kidding.
Doing what I can. Doing what I can. You know.
Oh my god.
And then this movie, I think this comes out not this week, but the next week of March 11th. Yeah, March 11th. I saw it. I was browsing through like new releases or upcoming releases. It looks interesting. It's called Ultrasound. I think it's gonna be like a sci-fi mystery drama thriller. So let me read the So here's the description. Ultrasound follows Gwen, who's played by Vincent Kartheiser, who is stranded by two flat tires on a rainy night and must seek help at a nearby house. There, he's welcomed in by Art, who cajoles Gwen into sleeping with his younger wife, Cindy. Gwen's unease only escalates when, a short time later, the consequences of this strange night begin to spiral out of control. Gwen and Cindy soon find themselves at the center of a web of deception and manipulation that tests the foundations of reality. So already, that sounds kind of cool. Like, interesting.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be a couple other ones coming out. Nothing like huge for a while, but yeah, I mean, it should be fun. That we still look forward to. And check your I use an app called like Flickster to get all the updates and stuff.
Go ahead, advertise Flickster. They're not giving us any funds.
Yeah, sponsor us, dude. Give us, I'm trying to throw in these things so they can give us some sponsorships. If you next time you're here, and we'll drink Forge kombucha, you know, since so we can get like a free sponsorship. Drink it. But yeah, I mean, and then there's some other stuff coming out, or at least that's being worked on. Like I found out that A&E's working on a James Brown documentary. So that should be fun. That's coming out like in another year.
Oh, who's playing that?
But it's a documentary, so I think it's just gonna feature a lot of unseen footage, a lot of unseen interviews. But it's pretty cool. It's called James Brown Say It Loud, and it's gonna be produced by Questlove and Black Thought, obviously from The Roots, and Mick
that's
Jagger.
Really dope.
So
I love Black Thought.
Yeah, man. That's something to look forward to next year, I guess.
I think there's a Prince of Bel-Air remake. I haven't started watching it.
There is.
I haven't been really interested. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you?
It seems a bit. I haven't seen it. I have Peacock though, so I mean, if you want, I mean, you can definitely.
I have
watch
Peacock
it.
too. Yeah, maybe we should consolidate.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how to feel. I've heard some interesting things from it. It seems that it's not much of like a, like the original ones, a bit of a comedy. Mm-hmm. This one seems to be a bit more of a drama, which I guess is all right, But it kind of like, man, can't we just have like some funny stuff?
I know, like of all the times in, like, come on, like all the stuff that's going on, like I need to laugh. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it can't touch on because the original did touch on a lot of, I haven't seen a ton of episodes.
Yeah, but it did so between the humor, and it's like you came for the humor and you left with a message, and it's like, I feel like that art is being like lost in a lot of like film, and I could be completely off base, but at least when it comes to like Bel-Air, I just feel like it's a really huge mistake. Like they could have, I don't know, it could have went in a different direction. It's not for me. Somebody loves it. Somebody's digging it. It just ain't me. Yeah.
No, yeah, and I think that's fine. It's definitely, I think it's gotten pretty decent reviews. I haven't seen anything bad yet of it. But yeah, like you said, that's cool. I don't know if I'll watch it yet. Maybe, just to get orientated with it. I'll give it a look. But yeah.
They got Carlton doing drugs? Like, come on, man. Like, this ain't what I signed up for.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that.
I watch Euphoria for a reason. I don't watch Bel-Air to see Carlton.
Right.
No.
That's the other. Yeah. So I'll have to give it a watch. I didn't even know that. Now I'm definitely just like, huh? Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll watch it a bit later after I get through a couple of the other things.
And I mean, also, you have to remember, like when Bel Air came out, it's like the idea of living in Bel Air. And I could be completely off base again, but it's like Carlton is always kind of like the, that character. I'm not even going to try and describe him. But his character, like his origin story, if you told it in the modern day, like it does make sense that he like smokes weed and like does coke, like of course, because he's living in Bel Air amongst all these like rich white kids, and like that's what they do. But it's like his character is so goofy and like ignorant in the original telling. It's like I'm adjusting. That's what it is. I'm adjusting in real life to like how that character has changed over time from the 90s to like 2020.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could still do that. You could still fit a way to do that. I think either have both or have one, and it could still work kind of.
I would like to believe.
It doesn't have to be complete. Yeah, I mean, I would like to believe too. But, hey, we don't write the shows. Although maybe we should. Guys, maybe leave a comment if you want us to write a TV show. We'll start a Kickstarter, and you can give us money. And when it inevitably fails, you'll get a a card in the mail.
Yeah,
we'll get the money back,
part,
but
please.
I mean, we thank you for your thoughts.
Send us money to buy bread.
But yeah, exactly. We're support black businesses. Come on.
I have been playing. I don't know if we're ready to jump into this segment, but Elden Ring came out this Friday.
Sure. Go for it.
And it's kind of like a Dark Souls game, but it's like directed by George R.R. Martin, and he wrote the story. I'm sorry, it was written by George R.R. Martin, and it was like directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki. It's very, very interesting. This is the first time I played like a Dark Souls kind of game. It's the reason I jumped into it, because I'm usually not a fan of this type of video game, is because it's been getting 10 out of 10 reviews from almost every reviewer. It's been getting like praises, anticipation. Like it's just been at the top of so many people's like want lists. I can't wait for Donkey to do an episode on it. It's coming eventually. But I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yes,
I'm really digging it.
Video game donkey, man. Yeah.
I'm wearing his hoodie right now.
That's cool, dude. I gotta great. He lives in Milwaukee, man. We could just go over and say hi. Yeah. Find out where he lives. Just roll up and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?"
Yeah, we got to play this game, man.
Let's play some Rocket League.
You would actually enjoy this game a lot, because it's like it's supposed to be spooky, but there's so many like silly, goofy elements. It reminds me of a game we would have played as like kids and just like played 20 seconds of and laughed like for 50 seconds and then go back to it.
Cool. All right. So I just want to make a couple more things before we get into like our actual subject.
We haven't gotten to our actual subject.
This is just a couple. I know. I mean, we've gotten a lot of subjects. Actually, no. I mean, we have a lot of subjects today, but just a bit more of like this is what's coming out in the next 2 weeks for music. All right. We got Cecile McLaurin Salvant, great modern jazz singer. My parents love her. I listen to her as well. Ghost Song, that's featuring this Friday, March 4th. Sorry, I had to figure out what day that was. Peach Pit from 2 to 3. RZA is coming out with an album. Saturday Afternoon Kung Fu Theater. So that should be interesting. Benet with her album Lychee.
Is that Benee?
Yeah, the one she did like the Super Lonely song.
She got an album coming out? Okay.
Yeah. So she's got an album. Yeah, this Friday.
I'm with it.
March 11th, we've got Franz Ferdinand. Well, this is a single, but it's Hitched to the Head. That's pretty cool. Toby Lou, Non-Perishable, which I'm interested for that. Chicago rapper, so I love his sound. If you like Code of the Friend, it's kind of similar, I think.
Okay.
And March 7th, it's like Dolly Parton, Run Rose Run. And for artists coming to Chicago, because we got a lot of cool artists coming. This March 2nd, which I guess is when that's like Wednesday.
March 2nd, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, because Thursday's the 3rd, Friday's the 4th.
Oh. All right, cool. So March 2nd, we got Maiden Tio at Avondale Music Hall. March 4th, Oliver Tree, Radio Chicago. I also got Jim Gaffigan coming at the Chicago Theater. He'll be here for a couple nights. March 5th, Ludacris at Horseshoe Casino. So that's a bit more in Indiana, but should be fun. March 9th, Dua Lipa at the United Center. March 10th, we got a couple good ones. We got Sports at Lincoln Hall, Claro at Riviera Theater, Bad Bunny at Allstate Arena, and Bad Bad Not Good is coming. They're playing at Metro. That should be an interesting experience. March 14th, Billie Eilish at the United Center, partials at Metro. March 17th is Amine, so he'll be at the Aragon Ballroom.
Hey.
So that should be cool. Get your tickets soon.
I think Zach Fox was just in Chicago, too.
Yeah, he was. And Tierra Whack was yesterday. Yesterday. It's Saturday.
Tierra Whack was in my city,
you were too busy
and I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I found out later after the fact. From a friend. I went to a Bulls game, though, that night.
Oh, go flex. Go flex, Mr. High Times.
Dude, it was a fun game, but we ended up losing. We were so close too, man.
No, was DeRozan in?
But we just couldn't. We just couldn't make it.
Man,
you know. But hey, there's still more games. We'll come back. We're gonna win. You know that. We're on a good streak. It's like every year. Every now and then one of the teams is great. This year it's the Bulls. So,
Chicago back on top, baby.
Don't worry about it. You know it. All right, so let's talk about Oscar snubs for this year. Because this actually, funny enough, this would have been the weekend for the original Oscars. I mean, if they didn't get pushed, I think they got pushed back till next March.
I believe so too, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting to talking. I guess it's like the biggest Oscar snub of it all. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen all of these. I've seen a good amount of them though. But yeah, obviously, I think the big one we could talk about is Denis Villeneuve is snubbed from Best Director.
Bullshit
for Dune.
It's a crock of shit,
dude. That was a great movie. Honestly, he should have gotten that. He should have been nominated.
He put his heart and soul into that film, into that franchise, birthing it from the ether.
Dude.
The ether.
Oh my god! You know how much I sacrificed.
Literally, yo, they not hearing us, man. They up in Hollywood, they not hearing us.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude. I mean, it's great, man. He's obviously got a talent for sci-fi. The Arrival, Blade Runner 2049. Honestly, this podcast probably wouldn't have happened if neither of us saw that movie. Which, ironically, it's kind of ironic the fact that he thought making that movie was a mistake. I'm like, what are you talking about?
My movie watching career was on life support before Blade Runner came out.
Dude, that is the movie that got me into photography again. I had the camera, was sitting on it for a while, saw that movie in theaters. Well, I saw that movie like a couple months ago on a free screening, and then saw that when it first opened, and it's like, dude, I gotta get my camera. So I went out that Friday, and it was rainy too, just like Blade Runner. So it was like a bit rainy, a bit misty, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect, and just started snapping away.
Yo, do you remember riding up and down fucking Lakeshore Drive with the soundtrack?
Oh yeah, that summer, because it that was the we were just like, dude, I think we both had the exact same thought. I'm like, this is Blade Runner, because you texted me, hey, you want to go, you want to take some photos? I'm like, yes. And yes, I do.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like if you've listened to this podcast, you know by now that that's probably one of our favorite movies.
Name a movie that made you that interested in doing things.
Dude, I can't. I saw that in theaters 6 times, man.
So
6 times, and I still regret not seeing it a bit more time, man.
And then Dune, bro.
And I think
oh
my mom,
God, the opening scene for Dune.
yeah, Dune.
Yo, the Fremen. Don't get me
yeah.
started on the Fremen, bro. So OG. So OG.
Yeah, the visuals, once again, he has a really good eye. Just because I mean, obviously the cinematographer also helps, but he's very great with this. Like, who is the cinematographer on this movie? I think it might have been different from the first from Arrival and there's other ones for.
I would love to see him make a Star Wars movie.
Dune.
Like a Rogue One kind of, maybe like a Rogue 2. I would love to see him make that.
Yeah. It was Greg Fraser. So it was actually interesting because you say that because he was also that guy was also the cinematographer for Rogue One.
My favorite Star Wars movie. It's all coming together. Greg Fraser is actually who should be getting a fucking Oscar. Where's his Oscar at?
Yeah, honestly, I think there's right. I mean, I'm sure he might.
Very true.
But yeah, dude. I mean, I think I could see Denis Villeneuve. You know what movie I'd want to see him make?
Oh my God, that would be sick.
I think he would be very great with that. Just like the visuals are very specifically like imagine like the visuals from the later ones. I guess like Prometheus and Alien Covenant. There's some good visuals there. The story might not be there, but the visuals, like when they get to the planet and then entering the planet from the storm, beautiful. Like I'll watch it. I'll put those scenes just on YouTube and be like, wow.
I want to see.
So I feel like Denis Villeneuve would be great with that.
I want to see an alien movie that's as frightening as Alien Isolation.
I feel like it's kind of
you can do
it. I feel
you can do it.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you can. It take a while. Well, no, it wouldn't take
creativity.
It wouldn't be hard to make. But anyway, going off of that, back to this. Yes, so he's been snubbed for an Oscar.
Tragic.
Tragic. I think.
And then Green Knight.
What else, man?
Not even mentioned.
Yeah, that got.
Not even mentioned.
Yeah. That was a pretty good movie, though.
I am looking at the Oscar website. I don't see no Green Knight on here. I don't see no Green Knight. I'll Control F. No Green Knight. It's very sad. That was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. You were I think my dad watched it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see it when we had it out in the library. I'll definitely rent it again. But yeah, from what I did see though, it was pretty good. It was, the actors, the setting. But yeah, I mean, you've seen it, so you can tell us a bit more about it.
It was just like so cool to see a movie. It's kind of like one of those Canterbury Tales, like, like King Arthur-esque storytellings. It felt like it was like really, really true to the original canon. And in some ways translating that original canon into like a movie. The plot felt kind of weird and all over the place, but you still kind of like enjoyed what you were seeing. And another choice that I really, really, really enjoyed is that they had actors of all different backgrounds, of all different ethnicities. And I feel like it can be kind of dry watching movies about that time period and about that subject matter, not because it's mostly white, but because it is all white. And historically, like going back to certain periods of time, like there were people from like India in Europe. There were people from Africa in Europe. Like they weren't very common, but they existed. And so it always felt weird omitting their presence from even like fantasy. Like, I don't know. That's a whole thing. So they had their main, not just anyone, but their main character was an Indian man. Like their cast was full of like people of color. I thought that was a really cool like addition. It just made it a bit more. I don't know. I'm still trying to find the wording, but it was just really, really cool.
I think I get what you're saying about it's kind of cool to see that representation.
That's it. Yeah.
Because if you look throughout history, a lot of that, it's been whitewashed to the point where we only assume that these are the type of people. It's only white people that were these big in Europe.
They couldn't be more wrong.
But throughout, even in the Exactly. Like going back to like you say, like look where we got the word Moors from. That's from black people from
Yeah.
Africa. And yeah, there's a ton of this type of. If you delve deep into that history, even some of the art, if you look closer, you can find, people from Africa, people from the Middle East, or like you said, India, that are represented in these paintings. Uh, Speaking of that, also that kind of brings me back to the one of the other plays I did see that I forgot to mention. It was more like it was a play like set to music. And it's like it's called the Chevalier. I think Chevalier. Yeah, I think I mentioned it like last week or last time we recorded. But yeah, it's about this guy. He was a classical composer. He was during the time of before the French Revolution, and he was black. He's called the Black Mozart, actually. You know, he was actually friends with Mozart. He was friends with Marie Antoinette and stuff.
That's so sick.
And the play was interesting because it mirrored a lot of the issues at the time, and you could see those same issues today. So like the idea that France was supposed to be for French people, so nobody else that was a minority at the time. And the reason he was allowed to be able to get to these, this status was pretty much he grew up on he was born the son of an aristocrat, but his mother was a slave. But because he was, because his father was French, he was pretty much free. And it just talked about that whole legacy of that, the fact that he tried to get slavery outlawed in these islands.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's it was a ton of interesting history that you kind of learn about how much more. A lot of it's a lot more complex. Like Marie Antoinette, the story we're told is probably completely BS. A lot of its stuff is made up. She was pretty much hated just because of the fact that she was from Austria at the time. And so that kind of led into this, and also the fact that she didn't really have much power because she was a woman to this king.
Wow.
But yeah, it was pretty great. I think it's just this was like a trial of a play, so it's like a small amount, like a teaser kind of, but they're planning on like making this a bit bigger, and I'm like, dude, I'll definitely.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'd be down to watch that.
But yeah.
The finished product.
Yeah, for sure. And then what else? I mean, we had I don't know if you saw House of Gucci.
No.
I know like Jared Leto got snubbed for that. That would have been interesting. That was that was directed by Ridley Scott. So he had 2 movies back to back that came out. Because The Last Duel came out that October. We saw that. And then the month after he released House of Gucci.
The Last Duel. Is that? Let's see if that's listed. It is not.
Yeah, that was a
Shame.
pretty good one.
That's
too.
a snub.
I think. But yeah, that's another good. We talked about it a bit on the. Me and my dad talked about it a bit because I'd seen it. But yeah, that Ben Affleck surprisingly he won a Razzie for The Last Duel though. I don't know why.
What? That's so weird. I don't know. In the same way that the Oscars is snubbing actors and just films and everything, it looks like the Razzies are also just handing shit out for content and less for purpose.
I feel like well, I think a lot of people have been talking about how just the Razzies in general kind of lost their place anyway now. I'd say a bit more interesting. I mean, yeah, I can see. Well, I think we talked about this a bit last week, but yeah, like the Oscars are kind of, they are, and still some ways they are, but they definitely were before the internet. I think a place where a lot of people could, if they missed a movie in theaters, and they didn't know enough about it, or missed like the trailers and everything, this would be a way to kind of figure out, it's won Best Picture for this or Best Actor or Supporting Actress.
Not anymore,
and
buddy.
Put it on people's radar.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much discussion. It's interesting though. Like the first Oscar, or I guess the Academy Awards, were it was like in May 16th in like 1929. It was like a private dinner function at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. So pretty much all this talk about how it's pretty much just a more so like a who's in the know. A lot of there's been a lot of criticisms of that, I think, of the Oscars, but like that's how it's always been. It's always been kind of like a private thing that people decide about.
And that is, as we know today, people is whack. It's whack to have these fancy gatherings, and these are our favorite movies. We think these are the best movies ever. Like, I don't care. You have no authority. I am ungovernable.
I mean,
You know what doesn't deserve an Oscar but is up for an Oscar? Don't Look Up. Let's be real, people. It was really? A good one-time watch. We're not buying it on disc. No one's watching it again. It's for all intents and purposes, and I stand by this, it's a Netflix movie. It's like, oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And it's like The King. It has Robert Pattinson, it has Timothy Chalamet. These are great actors. It was entertaining, you know, but I will never watch it again. It's just, sorry. The substance, it wasn't there. The story wasn't there. The pacing wasn't there. It's like, they're just so sloppy, and I don't know why they are, because the money is there. You have these people. You have this talent. Why aren't you using it? And I think the biggest display of this is like the Red Notice, I believe. I didn't even bother watching it, but from what I read, it's like completely a typical Netflix movie. Yeah, doesn't deserve to be mentioned at the goddamn Oscars, especially for editing. You're gonna mention Don't Look Up and not Green Knight. I'm sorry, I can't agree. I can't abide.
I know. I mean, I don't know if it's an Oscar contender, but I definitely did. I know we definitely enjoyed it.
I did.
You know,
I did like it.
Just because it's... No, yeah. Like, I'll probably watch it again. I don't know. I don't actually know. I might not, because it mirrors too much of life, and I don't want to get angry that much.
Yeah, it also just seemed like... you might as well make a documentary at that point, you know? Like, you're making this sarcasm of this, like, really real like, precedent thing, and it's like... Oh, like, what do you want from me?
I mean, it's kind of...
What do you want?
I don't know. I guess it's kind of like Doctor Strangelove, which is pretty much a similar movie about how, like a satire about using nukes during the, nuclear threat. You know, that was made during the Cold War.
That's so true.
Like this idea of we could go to, and yeah, it's very similar, I think, in that regard. Just played for laughs, obviously, but it's over the top. But I think it fits. Like that was one of the things that a lot of criticism for Don't Look Up was that it was over the top. And I'm like, yeah, but I think we've seen also that if you try to go for subtle, people will miss it. And yeah, if this is like a movie you really want everyone to get the message then definitely go over the top. I think it works sometimes. It's not bad that they do that,
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe at a later, maybe like 20 years from now, I'll watch Don't Look Up.
That's all right,
and
man.
I'll be like, yeah, I get it. This is something I can rewatch.
Well, that's the cool thing. But that's the cool thing, you don't have to. We can disagree.
True.
You don't have to like it. I'm not forcing a gun at you. Being like,
I always got to remember that,
You're wrong. Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that the internet has also ruined, like movie discussions, because it's gotten to that point where sometimes, like if you say you like this or you say you don't like it, people get really pissed off. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a movie, man. Imagine if you cared this much about anything else in your life compared to a movie.
Oh, man.
Like,
yeah, you got to remind yourself. End of the day,
yeah.
Like, this is an image moving on the screen and nothing more.
Right. I mean, I would say, though, I feel like the thing to watch Oscars for, I'm definitely interested to look at it this year. And the only thing really is for international films, I think that's definitely one of the parts where it excels. I look at Parasite getting that nomination just in general for in 2020, right?
Yeah, I just...
Because, I mean, it put a lot of those, I think, movies that... Because remember, you also have to remember that I think we talk about movies, and if we engage with other people that talk about movies, or we're on internet sites and forums that talk about movies and are focused on it. But the general public, just regular people, might not know about this film that was made in who knows, France, India, Korea, but it wins an Oscars and it gets a ton of buzz because of that. And that's kind of a good thing. I feel like that's a kind of an interesting thing. It gets people to consider watching those types of films that were, internationally made. So for that instance, I think it's a really good thing to check out for, because I know there's a couple movies I missed. I think Drive My Car is one. The Japanese
I still
film.
need to see that.
I saw the trailers for that. Yeah, it's funny. I saw the trailer for that, like literally, I think 2 weeks ago, because I was at the Gene Siskel Film Center and we were watching like the original Candyman. It was like me and Chris and Keith, and then I was like, "Oh, cool! I'll check that out when it comes out." And then I find out that it's already pretty much been out and it's on. It's actually, I think, an Oscar contender. It's been, nominated for an Oscar for international film. So I'm like, definitely, I'll check those out, and I think the other films that are on that list as well.
Also, Cyrano. I haven't seen Cyrano yet, but I want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that came out this past Friday. I'll probably try and check that out this week. It's been a crazy
yeah, as we described in the first. Yeah.
Like I said, as we described. So, yeah. What else? Flea is another movie that came out, and yeah. So I think I in that, and like I mentioned, in that regard, the Oscars, I think, do have a purpose. Not maybe a purpose, but just an idea to throw things out on people's radar. I don't think it has to be. I don't think it should be. Some people will take it to be like the definitive way of deciding whether a movie is better or worse than another one. But I feel that's kind of a bit. I don't know if that's a bit more of a recent thing. Like, I don't know. I can't see that being a thing like in the past where people are like, yeah, this is totally a lot better because it won an Oscar. Where now it's become such a heated discussion about movies that if you say like, oh, it's won an Oscar, it's so much better, and it's like, no, it's not. It's, it's like, make it. It's just your opinion, man. Chill out. But I don't know. That's my opinion on that subject. By the way, anyway, so I could be completely wrong. I wasn't alive, in the 80s, 70s.
I think you're on the money.
I wasn't having these discussions.
It's all subjective. I think you're on the money. I think how serious we take that subjectiveness is varied. Yeah. It's always interesting finding the person who's like takes it to heart, Everything all right at home, buddy? Like,
right.
Why are you yelling about the Last Jedi?
Why are you threatening people on Twitter about how bad the Last Jedi was? Like, maybe not do that. It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
This doesn't make the
go out, go for a walk, go hug your mom, go hug your dad,
what's
hug
going
your family.
on? Something ain't right because I know it ain't just a movie. Right. I know it ain't just a movie.
No. Yeah, I think we talked about that actually a bit in the first episode ourselves of recording this podcast. But yeah, man. I mean, I think we're like at 1 hour and 30 minutes, man. This is like, I think, our longest episode, which is cool. I think we talked about a lot of cool stuff this week.
Yes, a lot has happened in this week too. Don't forget.
Oh God, of course. Yeah, I mean, in general,
can't escape that.
Who knows where the world's going to be in the next 2 weeks.
But I promise you one thing, we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, we'll be here as always.